Charlie Smith, John Benji, Georgia Straight. I'm the editor of the Georgia Straight newspaper, and I'm happy to be back for another week on WOW TV. I'm going to start with a report about traffic, and anyone who has driven around Vancouver and Surrey and Burnaby is aware that there are some serious traffic problems in Vancouver, and this has been confirmed by a study. The TomTom Index has reported that Vancouver is actually the most congested city in North America when it comes to traffic. And on the morning rush, it's 61% more time is required. And on average for the evening rush, it's 76.5% more time. One of the challenges Vancouver faces is the number of bridges. So there are all these bottlenecks across the region, like at the Ironworkers Memorial Bridge, the Lionsgate Bridge, the Massey Tunnel, the Alex Fraser Bridge. So some of the transportation experts say that it isn't as bad, the congestion, once you're across the bridges, but at these bottlenecks, that's where the congestion grows, and that's one of the reasons why Vancouver's traffic is so problematic. But the Premier is trying to address this with a new bridge that she's announced, which will replace the Massey Tunnel. But some of the critics have a problem with that, in that the cost might be in the $3 billion range. So another story that's been occupying people in Vancouver is the bike paths, and it's been extremely controversial. Kitsilano Beach and Haddon Park. Well, what's happened is one of the residents, Megan Carville Davis, has actually gone to BC Supreme Court and obtained an injunction which is stopping the city from proceeding with this bicycle path, which will go through the parks. And it's kind of being done in conjunction with a bike path along Point Grey Road and along York Avenue, and it's basically trying to improve the cycling in that part of Kitsilano. I used to live in that area, actually, and I found that a lot of the cycling, you could cycle down 3rd Avenue, and it was reasonably good. You could also cycle along 8th Avenue, 7th and 8th, which are bike routes. But the city wants to increase the modal split in terms of the share of bicycles on using transportation, so that's what's happening. Vision Vancouver is also under fire. That's the governing party in the city, in connection with a plan to create these neighborhood committees. So what they've done is they're taking party members, forming committees in neighborhoods, but not necessarily disclosing that to the public. And this is a political strategy that was used by Barack Obama in the 2012 presidential election. What he would have is representatives for something like 500 people, that there'd be one party representative. And it's a way to enhance the ground game. What's happened in politics in recent years is they talk about the air war and the ground game. Well, the air war is something that the media focuses on, the television ads, what the leaders are saying, but often what can affect the outcome of elections is what actually happens on the door knocking and on the local campaigns. And it's a way to offset an opponent who might have a massive amount of money for advertising. So there's an expectation in the next civic election in Vancouver, which is in 2014, that the NPA may come back with a very challenging campaign against Vision Vancouver. It seems at this point that it'll be difficult for the NPA to defeat Mayor Gregor Robertson because he's quite popular, but that doesn't matter if the NPA gets a majority on council. And with 11 votes on council, including the mayor only has 1 vote, so all the NPA has to do is capture 6 of the 11 seats, and it can run the city. So one of the reasons the NPA is getting more keen, I believe, is that the BC Liberals fared very poorly in the city of Vancouver in the last provincial election in 2013. What happened was Christy Clark and the BC Liberals did very well across the province. They did extremely well in places like Prince George, Kamloops, the outer suburbs. But in Vancouver and in Burnaby and in New Westminster, the BC Liberals were clobbered. And they only won 4 out of 11 seats in the city of Vancouver. The 4 being Sam Sullivan in Vancouver Falls Creek, Suzanne Anton in Vancouver Fraserview, Andrew Wilkinson in Vancouver Quilchena, and Moira Stillwell in Vancouver Langara. In the previous election, they'd won 6 seats in Vancouver. It used to be that Vancouver cabinet ministers were dominating the provincial government, including Gordon Campbell, who was the premier. But the voters in Vancouver Point Grey rejected Christy Clark. It was a stinging defeat for her, even though her party won the election. And I think the BC Liberals are getting ready to say enough is enough, that they want to take back control of the city of Vancouver through their preferred municipal party, which is the Vancouver NPA. Right now, the NPA only have 2 councillors, George Affleck and Elizabeth Ball, so that's only 2 out of 11. But they may have a lot of money backing them in the next election, hence Vision Vancouver creating these neighborhood committees, which are one way to offset this possible challenge that we could see in November 2014. Now, another story that's happening is BC Housing, which is the provincial crown corporation that provides social housing, has launched an audit of the Portland Hotel Society. This story hasn't gotten a great deal of attention, but it's extremely significant because the Portland Hotel Society works with Vancouver Coastal Health on the supervised injection site on Hastings Street. And it's the only supervised injection site in the country. It's opposed by the federal government. And the questions BC Housing is asking is, what is Portland Hotel Society doing with its money? And Portland Hotel Society is the largest provider of social housing in the downtown east side, many buildings that it operates. It works in partnership with numerous developers. It was founded by Liz Evans and Mark Townsend, and actually this summer they had a visit from Russell Brand, the comedian, at the supervised injection site, and he was talking to the drug addicts. One of the issues, Russell Brand is a former drug addict himself, and the Portland Hotel Society has been really advancing the arguments for harm reduction and also trying to get supervised injection sites in other locations, including in Abbotsford, where that idea has run into intense opposition. So Russell Brand, when he was actually at the supervised injection site, he invited a bunch of the former addicts who were in treatment to his show and gave them great seats near the front of the Queen Elizabeth Theatre. And apparently he was there for a couple of hours at Insight. But now we're going to see what's going to happen as a result of this audit.